Across Ghana, advocates for creation of new regions have always been loud for decades. However, it was the narrative from the governing MPP and opposition NDC in the 2020 electioneering promising to have new regions created that raised the hopes of proponents. And after months of public education, engagement and referenda, the Oti region was one of 6 created in 2018 when the MPP won.
One shouldn't look at things only in terms of ethnic issues. There was also the issue of development. You see, you take, for example, the Cocoa Board. The main office in the Volta region was based in Howe. Howe has no cocoa. The cocoa is in Jessican area. So that kind of thing, you see, it was unfair. So if the CMD wanted to establish an office in the area, it should have been in the cocoa growing area, not a place we didn't produce any cocoa. That kind of lopsided development, I think I was never happy about. So, the southern Ewe-speaking areas always had the lion's share. And if you look at the roads, compare the roads in the south to the roads in the north, you see the vast difference.
Like the many others, Oti's birth, with its 9 districts, was met with resounding applause. But it was the inability of inhabitants in the Guan district to vote for a parliamentary candidate in the 2020 polls that have since dominated Ghana's public discourse. Guan, some 225 kilometers away from Ghana's capital, used to be part of the Howe municipality, while communities of Central Kofi, Akpafu, Lolobi and Likpe have come to be tagged with the acronym Sall. In a new constituency created today will be named Guan after the district.
We are so much worried. Haven't gotten our district. We fought tooth and nail to get the district. And why don't we have a constituency? We don't have a constituency. Therefore, we can't have a parliamentarian. Nobody is talking for us. Nobody is representing us. What have we done? I don't think we have done anything. We are Ghanaians. We must also benefit like other Ghanaians are benefiting. So we are not very happy.
We went for referendum 2018. So we had the time to create a district and a constituency. But the government have not been able to do it until November 2020 when the district was created. Hence, the EC could not create a constituency. So we were even promised that we were going to vote only presidential. Thereafter, we'll have our constituency. But now it has become the constitutional issue as to whether they could create it or they won't create it. But we feel the constituency should be created because we didn't participate in, we didn't vote in the previous parliamentary election. So we need a representation. Because the idea of the constitution on Article 46.6 is if you have voted for a parliamentary candidate, you couldn't vote until the next election. But here lies the case, we didn't vote for parliamentary in Buem or Howe. So we were thinking, just after election, they were going to create the Guan constituency for us also to have our first election and have representation.
Though political discussions around Sall have intensified over the last 15 months, laced with constant arguments about legalities, the subject about how development in the communities have been relegated to the background have been literally non-existent.
There's always room for improvement, particularly in development, because even so-called developed countries are still developing new things as today. So we could have done better. But the big vision or the achievement that I would say is that we have achieved the region, the creation of the region, which subsequently we'll see how best we can put ourselves together with governments that will come along the way to develop the place. Development is a process, not one day wonder. So we'll be doing it small, till we get to the level that we say yes. Particularly our involvement, the citizens' involvement is very important, and that's how we are looking at how we can be united as citizens to get involved with governments to get this thing done. Sometimes if the citizens are not united, they don't have vision for what they want to achieve or what they want to do, the government will just, slack.
District alone doesn't move to succeed. It moves with what? Constituency. Till the creation of the region and the district, the constituency is not created. So it means we don't have a representative in the parliament. We are here today as a nation or as a district in the country. We don't have a representative. So Roland, what does this thing mean? It means that you are trying to deny some people from their right. Now you are asking us to be paying taxes and all those. Meanwhile, we don't have representatives.
We anticipated some fast development in the area. But as it is now, we only hope that perhaps the authorities, the government, will fast track what we need to develop, especially opening up the district. Like I was saying, this is a terminal town, and the district capital is somewhere here. There are two communities of Akpafu, that is Sokpo and Adoko. They cannot come here easily. They have to go through Hohoe, come here. Otherwise, you have to foot about almost 8 kilometers. Yes, which is very difficult. And you find that there are farmers coming now. We have virgin forests here. We have cocoa farms. And head porterage. You have a cocoa farm there. You have to carry it here before going to Mepasim. So these are very serious challenges we are facing here.
With these sentiments in communities, inhabitants apparently still harbored pent-up feelings and sentiments about how they had not wanted to join the newly created region or district. While these concerns were being raised, we decided to contact Nana Kekrebesi Obwekuma II for some clarifications. First off, as leaders of the movement to have the region and district created, what do they make of resentment towards the newly created area, more so not having a representation in parliament?
I know that by the Constitution, Article 47(6), there is a process that if there should be alteration of boundaries, which means a review of boundaries, this must come at a certain time. It will not just happen at any time. It says that this should take place upon the dissolution of Parliament. And my understanding of that is that a new constituency must begin with a new MP from the scratch.
Hohoe was not on its own. Biakuye and other areas were also at either Pando or so we decided to come together so that we have our district here. So district for the Hohoe was the support of Lulubi. So if I can say, the first chief executive was from Akpafu. The second one from Akpafu. And we started everything concerning this particular Hohoe municipal. We have been there for almost 40 years. We don't have any problem. And all of a sudden, it came to a time that they decided to do this EOT issue. And some of us, we suffered a lot. Even I was in prison because of this particular issue. Nana Kekrebesi and his team went to hide and do something that we, the community, didn't agree on. We have a town hall meeting when the paramount chief asked us that, are you willing to be there? Everybody said no. And all of a sudden, something happened. That grudge is still hanging.
People are agitating that we don't have a constituency. Government should give us a constituency. But that cannot be done outside the Constitution.
So I want to plead with everybody that they should exercise patience. Once we've gotten the district, automatically the constituency will follow. It's just like day following or night following day. So that is how it is.
To be truthful, a new chief executive for the district was nominated, approved, and then passed on after just 11 days in office. But visibly, apart from some minor works on roads connecting the eastern or western ends, opinion leaders seemed unimpressed about pace of development since the district was created. Early morning and we stroll through the Sall area, largely agrarian, with cocoa, forestry and some minimal retailing of imported goods forming the local economy. The reliance of the new Guan district on internal revenue generation is expected to be minimal until some drastic investments are made in the area.
Our roads are totally bad. They are in a very bad condition, in the way that the foodstuffs that we have around over here, we cannot send it to the urban areas, such as even cocoa, we have plantain, cassava, yam, and etc.
This is a terminal town, and the district capital is somewhere here. There are two communities of Akpafu, that is Sokpo and Adoko. They cannot come here easily. They have to go through Hohoe, come here. Otherwise, you have to foot about almost 8 kilometers. Yes, which is very difficult. And you find that there are farmers coming now. We have virgin forests here. We have cocoa farms. And head pottery. You have a cocoa farm there. You have to carry it here before going to Mepasim. So these are very serious challenges we are facing here.
For one, health infrastructure remains in a terrible state. This is Likpe Bakwa, one of 10 communities in the Likpe traditional area. A once vibrant polyclinic is now in a sorry state. The continuous deterioration of infrastructure in the newly created Guan district also extends to the entirety region. Well, the citizens are complaining that the objective for which we had the region created, the promises that were given, and what the deliverables have been since the region, the district was created, are just not commensurate. For example, we're currently here at, well, you can call it the Likpe Bakwa Polyclinic. It's been downgraded in various sections of the health system just because of, one, the lack of facilities, lack of staff, and then also the lack of specialists to be able to cater for this big polyclinic. You can find that they have enough infrastructure, whether it's bungalows for medical staff or it is offices that is needed for the various patients that needed to come here and that have not been functioning over the years. At the time of its establishment, it used to be extending through to the 1970s and 80s, one of the best hospitals that many communities around Likpe Bakwa used to come and visit. But it's now a pale shadow of itself. It's been a subject of discussions, not only across the media, but also by Johnny Hughes on Johnny's Bite. Citizens of Likpe Bakwa, as well as the other sections of the Guan district, have been clamoring for the rehabilitation of this big edifice. For example, there is only one person who is helping as an assistant to dispense medicines. They have to accommodate counseling services for mental health at the same time where they are having family planning services for patients. A big concern is the state of the maternity. You find that across the polyclinic or this big edifice, it leaks whenever it rains. The state of the roof, the ceilings are just not in order. the electrical wirings are all off. So they begin to ask bigger questions. Why is it that promises have been made that districts will be created, new regions will be created, but the pace of development or infrastructure provision have not been commensurate to those promises up to today? With no support, the hospital has deteriorated over the last few years. For a major facility, it has seen no facelift, 3 clear years into the creation of the region, and that is a worry for indigents. Going forward, communities of Central Kofi, Akpafu, Lipe, and Lolobi will need extreme extended water coverage to ensure their daily needs are met. For example, this tributary of the Dain is a water source for residents in Makroe, among others in Lolobi. Just like many communities that have prevalent challenges in socio-economic infrastructure provision, it looks like the various communities or paramouncies that are the embodiment of Sall also have prevalent issues. And so you find members of communities, whether it's Lolobi or Central Kofi, Akpafu, but also Lipe, washing, even sometimes fetching drinking water from streams or river bodies like this. It's a big concern. It's why opinion leaders think it is important or critical that the commitment of central government to the provision of water, basic schools, as well as basic health facilities should be an important objective to ensure the people have good livelihood. Just take a look. Water that people drink. Whether it's wholesome or not, your guess is as good as mine. Mother of 3, Yawa explains how it has come to be the alternative for residents.
Ne gamela si ode eva tome pipe for ele ko koka 10 pesos alo 50 pesos alo 1 cedi de ete agba kakle pe price ki gbe mi tena play jevi
no mi glo me e chia 50 pesos ato eyo no kuwa
pipe gbo le fi ko e ade ntoto iko.
Okay
na se pe
hanaga o sigbia tane gamela si we ejabe na wavafia okay. So basically what Auntie Yawa is saying is that she lives just about 1 kilometer or 2 away from what they call the Dain, and so you realize that we have North Dain or South Dain. It's just the name of a river that also cuts across as part of its tributaries in this very community, and we're talking about Lolobi. But in case that she doesn't have money either for buying drinking water or even buying water for washing, the only option that is available to her and her family is to come to the Dain to either wash. Barogbo me kuna edenona.
Me kuna fi play top da.
Okay, so the ones that are clean, they look at sections that are clean enough, and because this is not a mining area where the water body is polluted, sometimes they fetch some as drinking water. That is if there's not enough money in the household. Tenare nyajide. Arometenare nyajo. Glenam be
tukara leme. Ale atoayi. Nenya eva kuche ale ayi.
Across the district, opinion leaders have varied views about their state of development, with some insisting it falls far below expectation.
Teachers are leaving. People are not ready to go to Jessica. 14 teachers are left in primary school. 11 have left in GSS. Smart school, St. Mary's here, about 7 of them are left. They say they don't want to go to it. They don't want to go to Jessica because Hawkwood is just nearer to Ezra. Why sending us to? If you want to trace anything, you have to go to Jessica, which will cost you a lot. Our police station matters are now handled at this particular area, and we are not happy.
for our surviving within these few coming years is going to be difficult, because since we migrated from Owe to here, there's still development project going on in Owe. When you are coming from Vegbe, Atabu to Klejo, Owe Township, there are a lot of development going on. So you could imagine what is happening after the creation of the district. All the promises that was given to us, nothing is showing. So I cannot tell my community that this is what and what we are seeing. In terms of development, we are not seeing. Even those that have been started have been abandoned. So in terms of this, we are expecting that, if this e-levy and other things will happen, we are not seeing any development. What for the e-levy?
When we talk of cocoa, a lot of cocoa comes from around one district. You go to where what do we have there? No cocoa. If at all, a few scattered. But go into the bushes and you see the cocoa farms around. If we have cocoa here and money is coming to Ghana, why don't you use the money around here? You use the money to asphalt Howe, Pando, Ho, where they don't produce cocoa. Is it fair? We continue to farm, and we farm only to feed the government. And we are neglected. We are sorry.
We are expecting that here, our districts, various districts also, when we are well established, we are firm on the ground, the way funding of developments are distributed, then we'll be having ours as a region. For example, if they say cocoa board, cocoa roads, then Oti region, cocoa road. We know Sall or Guan district has a lot of cocoa. Therefore, we should have that cake of cocoa road and do our roads here. So as Wim, they also have cocoa. They will have that. Either two, if the whole water region is giving cocoa road money, the money may go to the south and other places where there's even no cocoa.
With these challenges, all citizens of the area seem to also be lending a helping hand.
How is it?
We coincidentally encountered Actor 10 politician John Dumelo. John now returns home to farm and also assist in development for his community.
Their problem is there's no help coming from anywhere. I mean, if you look at Likpe, all the towns, if you look at Kpafu, if you look at Lolobi and Sancho Kofi, they are not getting help from anywhere. And so you see that the assembly members are the ones trying to, solicit for help here and there. Oh, we need this project, we need that project. And so it's been tough. But I think they are getting along by and large, and as much as possible, I try to chip in, when I can, because the projects are a lot. We don't have, even though we have an assembly now, may his soul rest in peace, our DC just died, they buried him, and so things are just a bit slow now. And so before things pick up, you're looking at probably early next year.
Citizens of
Also always in the district is Dr. Peter Abuma, a senior lecturer with the Methodist University College, and he too is concerned about the pace of development.
It has taken a lot. The first one is, even the MP Common Fund will do something. We cannot have the MP Common Fund, which is part of developmental projects in one way or the other. Representation involves many things. We also need to be part of decision making in Ghana. But here lies the case, we don't have a representative, so we don't know who to speak to, who will carry our concern as a people and as Ghanaians. So we think it's a big concern for us. And that is a major issue with the people of Guam, because who will lobby for us? The MP play a lobbying role. And the worst of, we had a district chief executive who unfortunately passed on. And the law said within 21 days, a new chief executive ought to be appointed. Now, the assembly is more or less dead. Nothing is going on. We expect the chief executive to be appointed, nominated, voted for the business, the district business to go on.
What has happened to the Sall area is quite unfortunate. It has happened already. We don't have a representative in parliament. Our district is relatively new, and so we are surviving on our own. They have promised to give us a constituency. We are still pushing. It looks like they will give it to us, but probably later on in the next couple of years, 2 or 3 years, before the main general election. But we are still pushing along and pulling along, because we can't wait for things to happen on the governmental level before we do things for ourselves. And so we are doing things ourselves.
Sometimes you've got to look at the power play. You see, if you look at the balance of power in Parliament, the MPP would think it's unwise to create a constituency now for the Guan. They will do it eventually for 2024, but for now, if they do it, they are going to create an NDC constituency. No two ways about it. The NDC will win that constituency, any day. You see, so it's a question of do you want to risk it? You're going to give them. You've created a district, yes. Do we give them the constituency? If you give them the constituency, you must count on having an MP who will be more NDC than MPP, and that destroys the balance of power.
But that's not fair.
Are you a Christian? You think that politics is Christianity? It's not Christianity. It's not fair. I agree. I'm a lawyer myself, but I know that if you try to take a case to court, which you can take a case to court on human rights issue and fight for your rights. Are you going to be sure that the court will give a judgment before the next election?
For now, as the arguments on legalities continue, citizens or indigents of the areas of Central Kofi, Akpafu, Lolobi and Likpe seem to be extremely disappointed in the state over the pace of development in their communities. Development that is badly needed to improve their livelihoods. The question is, when will these aspirations be met?